everyone. Welcome to another episode of When We Are Healed. It is my absolute joy and honor to introduce to you our guest today. Please welcome my dear teacher, Dr. Mario Torres-León. Dr. Mario is a Harvard Medical School, Yale University, and Columbia University College of Physicians and Surgeons educated radiologist, and the founder and CEO of Alive Partner. As an international personal development and health coach, speaker, and author, he has impacted the lives of millions of people around the world through his work on TV, radio, and multimedia platforms. In this episode, Dr. Mario talks about his journey of discovering healing gifts at a young age, working as a physician for over 30 years, and growing through relationship challenges as a married man and a father. He also shares powerful insights about the gift of being human and how the practice of gratitude combined with feeling has transformed not only his life, but also the lives of countless people in his community. I have such deep respect and gratitude for Dr. Mario because he's a true healer who really embodies love and compassion and humility, someone who you can experience healing just by being in his presence. At one point in the interview, I was practically sobbing as he told me the story of successfully operating on a patient who was severely allergic to anesthesia by guiding him to tap into the power of love within him. It gives me so much hope for humanity to see more and more doctors like Dr. Mario empowering people to tune into their innate healing abilities. And I am so grateful for the profound transformation that I've personally experienced through Dr. Mario's 28-day Gratitude Launchpad program. Even though I had practiced gratitude for many years, it wasn't until I learned to actually feel the energy of gratitude in my body, as Dr. Mario teaches in the program, that I began to experience the true power of gratitude in my life. My heart is more open than ever before. Everything in the world feels more vibrant and alive to me. And people, opportunities, and money are flowing into my life in a way that I never thought was possible. It's so amazing. And as Dr. Mario mentions in an interview, this is happening not just for me, but for so many people in this program. So I cannot recommend Dr. Mario's work highly enough. I'll put all the links in the show notes so you can check them out. Now, without further ado, let's dive into our conversation with Dr. Mario Torres-León. Oh, Dr. Mario, I'm so excited and grateful to have you on our show. Welcome.
So privileged and honored. And what a humbling thing for you to think of me, to invite me and welcome me to your home and to share some thoughts and perspective with your community. It's my privilege. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to start off by asking you about an experience you had when you were young that set you on the path of healing, of becoming aware of the sense that there's something greater and powerful at work in your life. Can you speak to that experience to start us off?
Sure thing. Thank you. Well, when I was growing up, I remember ages of 6, 7 being called often the 6 or 7 year old boy with the mentality of the 40-year-old man. And that's something that has never left me. It was there a lot. I just I was just a different kind of kid when it came to that. And the way that I behaved, the way I carried myself, the way I communicated, I traditionally felt significantly at more ease when I was with adults and when I was with some of the other children. Not that I was an antisocial child or I couldn't play. It was just simpler to communicate. And there was a really interesting event in my life that happened around the age of 12. I was in seventh grade or so. And as it turns out, a couple of neighbors who lived in my neighborhood came to my parents, unbeknownst to me at the time, and they asked for permission to see if they could bring me to their home because they needed to have me support them with some challenges that they were going through. So the day came, I don't know, a Wednesday or a Thursday, and around 6 o'clock in the evening or so, the man in the relationship, this couple, he came and he picked me up, and my parents had told me briefly, hey, they're going to come and pick you up so that they want to talk to you and they want to talk to you about some things that are happening so you can help them out. So I didn't know what to expect. So yeah, sure. So he picked me up and took me to the house and so on. Then they took me to the lower part of the house and they put two chairs right across from me and then my chair, and I sat down. And after the usual hellos and this and that, and how's everything going, how's school and whatnot, then she started to talk and she said, well, the reason why we brought you here is because my husband and I have been having some challenges in our marriage. And we feel that you could be of tremendous support for us and assist us in being able to have a better relationship. Now, I want to put into context the fact that I was about 12 years of age, right? If we think about that situation in any 12-year-old, that may seem extremely strange. And to a large extent, it is. I don't think of myself necessarily if I'm going through a difficult moment or period with my wife to go and reach out to my daughter, who's also 12, to have a sit down conversation with her to give me advice about my relationship with my wife. But that's exactly what happened that night. And as she started to open up about the challenges that they were having in their communication, then that became deeper and they started to talk about their sexual challenges. I want to say that as weird as this may sound to share that I'm sharing with you, it was done and this is my recollection, in such a tasteful, gentle way that it was not weird. It really was a beautiful moment. And what really impacted me the most was to see the suffering that this couple, probably at the time in their mid 40s, maybe late 40s, were having. It was extremely eye-opening to see that communication or miscommunication between them was at the core of the challenges that they were enduring and going through. And that left a very deep, indelible impression in my awareness at a very young age that has continued to unfold ever since in many regards in my life, not only as a man and a married man and as a father, as somebody who's been a physician for over 30 years, dealing with some of the most, the darkest moments of human nature, life, death, dealing with terminal diagnosis, terminal illness in the heart and the emotional body, the spiritual body, the energetic body. So all of those things created a tremendous ripple effect from very early on in my life. And that moment, that night, when I had that experience at the age of 12, I'm 50 now as we're recording this, it really ignited or connected me with a deeper sense of awareness that there was something running within me that validated those comments of the 40-year-old man embodied in the body of the 6-year-old child. And over the course of my life, those, let's call them gifts or awareness, talents, however we feel comfortable calling those elements, they have continued to grow and grow and grow exponentially. I remember very vividly, Rieko, years back, this is around the year 2006, 2007. performing surgical procedures, minimally invasive procedures. And I remember the first time that I had a patient who was a terminally ill lung cancer patient who would come to the hospital on a frequent basis to have what's called a thoracentesis, or tapping the chest to get fluid out. And I remember that at one point, my staff comes to me and say, "Hey, doctor, we have a situation. This gentleman is allergic to a particular kind of anesthetic, so we don't really have any topical anesthetics that we can use, something to put on the skin or inject it, that we could use because we can throw him into an anaphylactic reaction, like a full-blown allergic reaction. What are we going to do?" And I had this massive awareness in the moment, and said, and I was hearing this, well, we'll use love for anesthesia. And so I told my team, as I was hearing this and having this awareness in my field, I remember telling them, you know what? Don't worry, we don't really need any chemicals. We'll be able to do the anesthetic effect. Just give me some time. So I go and talk to the patient and so on. I started explaining what we're going to do. He looked at me like I had three eyes on my face. And I said to him, Tom, trust me, you have the inner capacity to heal. You have the capacity to bring anesthesia to your body. I just need you to trust me. And what we're going to do is I'm going to put my hand over the portion of your chest where we're going to do the procedure. There's nothing coming out of my hand. It has nothing to do with me. We are going to recruit from inside of you the power of anesthesia by bringing images of love. He looked at me like now I have like six eyes on my face. And I said, I want you to bring into, your thoughts, think about someone in your life who is representative of deep love for you. Somebody you love so unconditionally, profoundly. And he said, my mother. And I said, well, when we're going to do the procedure, and let's practice now, I'm going to put my hand over your chest, and I want you to, in the area that I'm touching, I want you to bring into your mind, into your thoughts, the images of your mom as I'm touching that part of your skin. And you're going to really, really bring mom very much into this moment. And we practiced for a few minutes, and then we went into the operating room and, prepared everything, everybody wearing their gowns, sterile field, and so on. And then at that point, I'm speaking to him. My team is watching the whole thing. They had not seen the prep work, so they're waiting to see what trick was going to come out of the bag. And there was this deep moment of silence in the room. I was experiencing tremendous amount of fear because I had never done that before, even though I had the awareness of it. And I'm thinking in my mind at that point, they're going to report me to the hospital administration and tell them that I'm doing something that is just ridiculous here. And like this is not the standard of practice, standard of care. But I carried through my fear and I still did it. We did the whole procedure. I get my instruments out of his chest. And I said to him, Tom, we're done. You did great. And he's like, you did the procedure already? I said, yes. It's like, I couldn't even feel anything. As you can imagine, the faces of my staff, I had two technologists, one nurse in the room, and then the patient and myself, and they're looking at me as though they had just witnessed something that was out of a different planet, like Star Trek. And there was another moment that shifted my trajectory in medicine and how I was practicing medicine. In that moment, something similar to that and other things repeated themselves over and over again. As I was bringing to a very allopathic, a very traditional medical moment, something that had no place in the books of medicine. But as we know, Rieko, from so many gifted people on our planet that came before us and many that will come after us, that this is something that as human beings we have access to. And it was a continuation of understanding, not from here, but from the field, all of these gifts that not just Mario, that we're capable of having. And the more we were tuning in, or sometimes by just accidentally, if we can use that word, by chance, what it's meant to be, you become aware of those moments. You tune in, you listen to them, and then life affords you opportunities to show up in such ways to be in service and of service to others. And things work out And that's some of the elements of that continuum of some of the things of the many things that I've experienced as part of that journey of getting in tune with healing gifts and awarenesses. And it's not a surprise when you hear that, and I reconnect with those memories to realize that my choice of wanting to become a physician was not an accident, right? To be so close to the moments where humanity is at its finest, at its weakest point, at its highest points, from the birthing of a child, which is one of the most miraculous things, to holding the hands of somebody who is leaving us in this physical realm as we know it. So it's been really incredible, incredible.
Ah, I am taking a breath. My face is covered in tears. It's so beautiful, Dr. Mario. Thank you for sharing that. I'm feeling so many things, but one that's I'm feeling really deeply is how I'm just putting myself in the gentleman's shoe who was being guided in this procedure of letting love be the anesthesia and the the love with which you were present with him and called to the inner power in him instead of saying, "This is what I'm going to do for you with you." This was you wakening up, awakening his inner power and connection with his inner source. And everything you just described just now, I'm just imagining what would it be like if hospitals everywhere did this, if doctors everywhere do this, and if it expanded to not just doctors and hospitals, but everywhere. Like this is how we tend to our children when they're sick, or our aging parents when they're having a hard time. Like this is the way we can let connect to the love in all of us, and know that there's nothing you cannot do. Um, I'm just feeling so inspired and grateful that you are a walking, living demonstration of this liberating, comforting truth that love is always here and it's in every one of us and it's always accessible.
Yeah, it's really touching to hear you speak like this because one of the things that I continue to open up to in my very limited way of being as a human, despite the unlimited nature of our souls, is how more alike than unlike we are. And I say to people often, if you had the privilege of seeing the body underneath the surface of the skin in the way that I have seen it every time I've operated on the body, we would have so much love, compassion, empathy, tenderness, gentleness, kindness, patience, acceptance for one another. We would really transition from being in a state of bellicosity and warlike feelings towards oneself and others very, very quickly. And there's so much power in being reminded of that. And very often, I know I have fallen short of embracing that. And I need to remind myself through my own practices of that awareness to keep me humble, to keep me open, to really embody the fact that we truly are one and we are all made of stars. The same cosmic elements make all of us, but we forget. So when I think about my life up to this point, I can't help but feel so much gratitude for my patients. They have been my masters. They have really confronted me with all of that, with my arrogance, with my inability to love unconditionally at times. My unwillingness to meet the depth of me and those areas of me that are wounded or unwilling to be seen or shine light on. And this is a journey. This is a journey. And the more I get to reflect on these things and walk them, the more ingrained in the spiritual fiber of who we are it becomes. But it takes tremendous courage and desire. And at times, I have completely not had it. And life shows you otherwise, and then you have to double down and triple down and quadruple down to embrace it and to receive it, because the gifts are just so massive and not necessarily always intuitive. And that's the beauty of the journey, right? So, what a privilege to serve and be served by those that came to be our masters, our teachers, our mentors, so that we can unleash the true essence and the gift of who we are. And that's what that journey is every day for me, even in the deepest or darkest moments, or when my human feelings are just unleashing in such a negative way, as we would call them, to see the beauty in them, to accept them, to feel them, to want to meet them fully. I don't think there's any higher calling, and you don't have to be a doctor for that. Just being human is just the biggest gift we came to feel. And that's what I share with people in my community every day. Whether I've done it imperfectly, I want to show it. Whether it's been done in a way that collectively seems nicer, I want to show it. But the moments that I rejoice the most is when I get to embrace those areas that I despise, that I have rejected, that I have neglected, consciously or unconsciously. That's the gift. That's the biggest gift.
Thank you. I'm receiving that. Oh, what were some of your biggest catalysts on your journey that took you to those darker places that you then learned to welcome back in and love and move forward?
There's one word for me, at least, to answer that, and it's love. If I take my marriage as an example, the purest and most challenging mirror is that one that is represented by your partner. And love really can transcend, it does unequivocally, anything that is human. It's beyond it. So in those moments where I have fallen short of my own drawn expectations, or the ones that were agreed upon, if you have been on a track like mine of being a perfectionist, then you have no choice but to meet those dark places, because the road blocks off very quickly. And then I've gotten to experience the deprivation of receiving the love from, let's say, my wife, for example, because of what I have brought forward to be experienced by her. And the mirror doesn't lie. So feeling deeply the pain of not creating what you want and not showing fully to the moment to love unconditionally. It's the hottest cauldron you can actually be put through. Children are another extension of that application of love. Who do we want them to be? What do we want them to experience? What memories do we want to create for them to be men and women of service to others from their hearts? It's a really, really powerful invitation and responsibility. So the common denominator there again is self-love and how you put it forward for them to see themselves in that modeling. Those are two areas that have, without a doubt, created tremendous impact. If I were to remove my family from the application of that, no question that my trajectory as somebody who served humanity as a physician has been another very intensely hot cauldron for me to put judgment aside. See, in medicine, everything is about this versus that to get to the diagnosis and be able to quote unquote heal people. So the element of judging the information that is in front of you is essential to discriminate and arrive at quote unquote the right decisions to care for others. And that is such an ingrained model that you just can't just flip the switch off the moment you're not in the hospital or dealing with patients. You become it. It's become you. But when it comes to human interactions, true human interactions, at the core of who we are, judgment is a separator. So embracing everything that we are, however it looks like, whether it's messy, ugly, beautiful, which is all judgments of whatever is being experienced, is essential to be able to receive the gifts that others have in store for us, and ultimately for us to receive the gift of me with me. And this is something that gets practiced every single day, not just in my life, but in every single experiential journey that I provide and create for my community inside of the Alive Partner community. It's indispensable. If I'm not holding that space for myself, I can't hold it for others. People would feel it. Even if they think in the moment it's okay, something is going to feel off. There has to be a true embodiment of such creed, of such way of living, that every single molecule in your body is truly feeling that. And I have not been able to find, up to this very moment when we're having this gathering, Rieko, a more powerful element, gift in my life than that of gratitude to arrive at living from such place. I just don't know it. And maybe my nature is so small and so limited that I'm missing other areas where I could receive a different way of being and living. But within my smallness and my limitations as a human, I am convinced that we have been given a divine source, guide, lane to arrive at this place of really incorporating that into my way of being, acting, treating others, and being sourced from how I am feeling with myself as I employ gratitude to such degree of depth and profoundness. And that permeates through everything I do every single day. As you know, since you're part of my community as well. So it's not talk, it's really a walk.
Thank you so much. And I can speak to the listeners about how you feel that gratitude emanating from you, Dr. Mario, in your presence. From the first time I saw you on the Gratitude Launchpad kickoff call about 2 months ago. And it's a vibration, it's an energy that helps me soften, helps me relax and feel seen and heard, even if you're not saying anything to me. And I'm just curious, how did this practice of gratitude come into your life? How did it begin to reveal its power to you? What was your experience like in beginning to embrace this as the most powerful practice, as you've just spoken?
You know, I was aware of the power of gratitude. Anybody who's been in a trajectory of expansion, spiritual growth, transformational work, which I have been exposed to a large extent for many years. It's an element that is a recurrent theme that comes up, and not infrequently, I was raised in a very polite environment. Good manners are praiseworthy in my background. So I was very well acquainted with the utilization of the word thank you in Spanish, gracias. But I had never fully understood what it was to feel gratitude. I understood it from the brain. I talk a lot about this in my community, where I'm very much aware that we're still living, for the most part, in the age of the Enlightenment and reverence to the brain. You're such a genius. Oh my gosh, your IQ is through the roof. But we have been living in at least for 200 years since the age of the Enlightenment, where we are truly neglecting the feeling body. What do we feel? And as a Latino male, I'm Puerto Rican born. And I think you can relate to this also in the Asian culture, being Japanese yourself and many other cultures around the world, particularly for those who are male gender and consider themselves to be, masculine energies. That this aspect of emoting and feeling is really not a particular strength that is praiseworthy. So there has been very deep social conditioning at a global scale to not feel. And unfortunately, it has spilled over to women as well in many regards. Thankfully, many women still feel a lot more than we do. Can't express my gratitude for that. My wife being one of those women, as you know. And but the point is, I was exposed. Like I said, I've done a lot of different kinds of development and spiritual and so on work, transformational work, and I was being mentored by somebody. We're working on shadow work, which is something that has become more of a, it's been around for a while, but I think it's become more and more relevant. And just catering to some areas in my life that were not working for me, and I wanted to get some support with. I'm a big believer. If you can't do it on your own, healing is a team sport. That's one of my taglines in everything I do. Healing is a team sport. And when you do that in the right community, your life will be transformed by leaps and bounds. No question. I'm super passionate about that. And this gentleman who was mentoring me, he mentioned to me, hey, Mario, have you ever read the book The Magic by Rhonda Byrne? And those who don't know that name, she's the one that became very famous in bringing to pop culture the aspect of the law of attraction with the work of The Secret, which was a book, and then they did the documentary and so on. And she has multiple books. Fabulous work for those who resonate with that. So he said, this book, The Magic, is actually a great little book, and it's really about gratitude. And it's thin. It's a small book. And I remember, this is now close to 4 years now back, that I read the book, and in my first go around, I call them cycles nowadays, I did a really half-ass. I was not consequential with it. I was not compliant with it. I did read some chapters, and I kind of, almost like I was in a buffet of gratitude, just picking and choosing where was I going to be grateful. And I don't know, that chapter seems a little complicated. I'm not going to go to that one, right? So I was really poor in doing it. But something really incredible happened. Along the way, as I'm getting close to the 28 days and so on, I start to see that there's some things happening in my life, and I'm a little bit confused as to what's really the source of the happenings and why are these things happening for me. And I had this awareness that comes through that is telling me, it's the book. There's something here with gratitude. And my left brain was completely skeptical. The doctor in me was completely disregarding that. But the other side of me was really speaking pretty loudly. It's like, no, you have to really do this again. And at that point, I said, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it in a fully compliant way. And I'm going to stick to it. I'm really going to do it. I'm going to take notes. I'm going to do this and do this and that. And then things started to be reproducible, meaning that they were happening again, but in a more powerful way, starting off from that premise of those concepts that I was practicing from the 28 days prior. At that point, I'm like, okay, this is something else. I don't think this is, this is not an accident here. There's more to this. And at that point, I simply continued to do it. And now I have been on 47 uninterrupted cycles. Today is day number 2 of cycle 47 for me. And I started to really have a deeper awareness that this was not about the words being spoken or being polite. It had nothing to do with that. And along the way, as I am doing all of this and doing some of my other work that has to do with everything that I share in a life partner and so on, in one of my meditations, I had this massive, massive download awareness, access to the field in a different way. And in my meditation, I had this vision of a body map. And the body map had these grid lines like parallels and longitudes on the Earth globe, but pretty much superimposed on a human embodiment and a human shape. And I was completely confused, like, what is this all about? And as I continued to keep that within my awareness in my meditations, I continued to have more and more awareness about the fact that the more I tuned into how I was feeling, I could see in my meditations the feelings going to certain parts of my body. And then I was kind of freaked out at that point because I'm like, okay, I've never seen this before. I haven't heard about this before. Is this really something that is universal for human beings? What is this all about? And then I started to ask questions to people, almost like I was interviewing them. And they had no awareness of what I was talking about. I was like, what are you talking about? People say, oh, I feel this, I feel that. But to bring the connection between the physiological reaction that is generating the physical sensation, the anatomical sensation with very particular emotions and feelings was completely foreign. Like revolutionary in my experience. I had never come across anything like it before. And I say, for full disclaimer, Rieko, you'll never hear me claim I invented this, because all of the things that have been created by human beings, in my experience of it, is really opening to the field of possibilities of what's already here, and it actually comes through us. So you'll never say, oh, I'm the inventor of that, that, that. No, it's like, this was a gift that came through. And I'm like, I have to, first of all, is this valid? Is this true? Is this reproducible? Is this universal for human beings? I didn't know the answers at that point, but I had a lot of questions. And I started to speak to that and to talk to people and so on. And then it became very obvious to me as I continued to meditate on that and simmer and all of that awareness that was coming through, that every human being has a unique physical, anatomical representation of your emotions in your body. And most people, when you ask them what they feel, they can't even put any words, let alone localize the feelings in their feeling body. And as I deepened more and more into that and had deeper awareness and reflected more on it, then I started to have the awareness that this was a huge missing link in the mind-body connection. A lot of people, me included, we have done a lot of spiritual seeking and spiritual work to really have transcendence moments or moments of transcendence, which, as I come to understand, not intentionally, they have become spiritual bypasses of what's really here for us. And the more that I tune into that, I started to realize everything that everybody's doing in that realm is a beautiful thing. So it's not to take the value away, but imagine with all that spiritual work that people do with all the best intentions in the world, which I praise, how much more powerful of an experience it is to have a full connection. Because independent of the soul having the physical experience, which we hear all the time, the fact of the matter is the soul is being transported in a physical vessel. And the physical vessel is the body, however it looks for you. With your straight black hair, with my curlish blackish hair, to your Asian features, to my Latino darker skin features, it doesn't matter. That's the vehicle. And the vehicle is extremely sophisticated, but we haven't necessarily fully, collectively, at a large scale, understood it. There are many people, many avatars that have walked the planet that have had a deep knowing, not from here, from the field of that reality. But most of us, less advanced and less developed, we have not. So when I started to have these realizations and then validations, I just had this incredible desire and alignment with purpose that I couldn't see anything of much bigger significance in my career as somebody who chose to be a physician than to bring healing about at a global scale, than to start spreading that message, to start talking about it, to really convey it, to have people experience it, to feel it, to create the mind-body connection. And because of that, as you know, because you witnessed this in 28 days when you were in our prior cycle, we saw healing. We saw miracles. And you know that I'm not exaggerating. I'm not using the word lightly. When I say miracles, I'm referring to things that our senses are experiencing that we cannot put two and two together from the brain because it doesn't make sense. Why would somebody who's been having polymyalgia rheumatica for 30, 20 years, whatever the case may be, and nothing can help them, suddenly go through this cathartic journey of 28 days by putting gratitude and the feeling body together and ultimately having healing and be symptom-free? That doesn't make sense. And so many other things. From here, from the brain, it's not explainable. When we think about stories of Jesus, and this is not a religious conversation, but just to highlight the presence of somebody we consider an avatar that walked the planet, whether it's Jesus, Buddha, Muhammad, you never hear Jesus or anything in the scriptures that says that he healed people. He never said that about himself. Every time that somebody would come with some ailment, he would always say, your faith, your belief, whatever has healed you. He was being a vessel, a container of such high frequency through accessing love, which is considered the highest level of frequency if we take David Hawking's work, Power versus Force. Well, the embodiment of that frequency allowed the other to mirror himself in the experience of the avatar, to unleash the power within to be your own healer. Massive awareness. The person might have not known. But what we're doing now is we're bridging that gap and showcasing that this is not about Mario healing somebody. No, it's inherent to you being human and this living within you. And now, with our very limited human capabilities, to have discovered and scratched the surface to highlight the fact that, hey, this is a small little door that can really allow us within our own individual journeys to access the power of healing within. Healing, transformation, breakthroughs, achieving milestones, expansion, enlightenment, increasing the awareness. Any of these words that really suits your listeners and their own personal journey with their own biases that we all have. That is really what this awareness came to showcase, at least in my experience. And now every single cycle, I'm on my 47th cycle, and every cycle for your audience means 28 days, that was the inspiration for what this has become. My work is not the magic. The magic inspired my journey as it pertains to this particular experiential journey or course, which is the 28-day Gratitude Launchpad. But now what we see every single cycle, it's not explainable by conventional wisdom. But we do know, especially those of us who have been inclined towards exploring more in the spiritual, energetic realm, personal development realm, that we've known because of the messages that have been passed down to us and the books that have preceded us and the teachings that are ancient, that this is still within the range of human possibility. So it's an honor to have a different awareness, a different way of conceptualizing it and understanding it. That little map, which I was talking about, became physically represented in what I call in my work the soul map. Capital S, capital O, capital M, capital A, and lower case P. Soul map is just a word that is made out of two. Soma in Greek means body, and then the map piece in the end of the word referring to the body map, and this body map really being used in terms of the feelings map, the emotional map. I can't tell you how many times I have seen how humans that have been part of this community have gone from feeling nothing in their experience of themselves to having this massive wake up call for their feeling body and then starting to change their lives dramatically in a matter of days. It's just, there's just no word to describe the honor and the privilege. I mean, it's been really unbelievable. And that is a foundational principle to the work inside of GL28, but truthfully, inside of the Alive Partner community and all my experiential courses. It's really the rekindling or reconnecting, reactivation of the feeling body for all of the humans that come into my field of work, and I get to have the privilege of serving.
Ah, thank you. And I can attest to the power of this work in the Gratitude Launchpad community and the Live Partner community. And the I love what you said about healing is a team sport because I can speak for the power of community myself that my greatest growth and expansion came from being a part of community irrevocably. um, and there's something so special, I'm going to use the word special, about the energy of the space you create in the Alive community where there is such a sense of safety and trust. Even if you're new to the community, I felt it from the first time I joined the community. I felt safe to just show myself as I was, not trying to make myself look this way or that way, but to just record myself on camera, sharing and posting it. And there was a lot of fear and anxiety too, but already a sense of trust and safety because it's the energy that everyone is holding for each other. And I'm so excited to join Gratitude Launchpad again in the May 1st cycle. And I also have a whole podcast episode raving about the program, about gratitude and combining that with feeling and how that was such a breakthrough for me. So, Dr. Mario, where can people find you? And if they feel really called to this work, to open up, allow themselves to feel, how can they work with you?
Thank you so much for that generous ask. The easiest way to find us is to go to our website, which is alivepartner.com. When it comes to the 28-day gratitude launchpad, the easiest way would be to go to alivepartner.com/G as in gratitude, L as in launchpad, and the number 28. I have a special invitation for your community who's listening to this podcast, Rieko. I have created a community which is called the Alive Community Membership Site. And to have access to it is completely free. And we have, as you know, tons of resources in there. I call it where the free resources are. It's called the Alive Archives. The Alive Archives. And I have put so much content that is so powerful with my team in there where people have access to free tools that are incredible. And a bunch of different things that we have there. And then those people who want to really deepen their journey or perhaps they want more of a walk with me sort of approach. We then have other offerings inside of our community for those who are seeking to have a deeper sort of journey and support in a different way directly from me. Something that I want to say that you mentioned is truly the quality of the community. I'm aware of the fact that healing is a team sport, but I'm also aware that healing needs to be approached with reverence. And it needs to be approached like the highest degree of intimacy there is. Not everybody is comfortable to just walk naked on the street and be in an open street marketplace. And I understand that. And I understand it very deeply because of my trajectory as a physician. So to me, in consciously creating our community, it was very evident from the very beginning that I had to do everything I could do with my team and draw in from whatever resources we could to create a safe container that is truly, not cliche, truly judgment free, loving, compassionate, open, respectful, patient, tender, that is kind, that is gentle. Because those elements, when they come together in a community, it really allows the human spirit, the human power to be unleashed for the purpose of serving oneself and serving others in a completely selfless way. And as you know, I say this often, the community is not what it is because of me. The community is what it is because the people that have really resonated with the intentions that I have set forth to be in the space that we're all together, in the atmosphere that really envelopes all when we're working together, is being a co-creation, an act of co-creation. So if there is anything to say about this, is that the gratitude that I feel for everybody who's come through the door is beyond description, because the miracles, the breakthroughs, the milestones, the transformation, the healing that we all get to experience. I experience it myself in my own skin every time when I experience others. So they're healing me every single time, transforming me, is because the heart, the size of the hearts of those who have been coming in, there's just no words to describe them, as you know.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mario, for your generosity and sharing your presence and love and wisdom with us today. I'm going to say a quick prayer to close, and thank you everyone for tuning in. So if it's safe to do so, join me in closing your eyes and taking a breath of joy and gratitude for this profound sense of safety and love that we feel in this space, in the presence of Dr. Mario and the presence of ourselves. That love that we feel is something that's resonating in us, that is being wakened up by Dr. Mario's open heart. And I'm just so profoundly grateful for all of the experience and wisdom and love and willingness and courage that he helps us connect to within ourselves and be a living demonstration that love is the healer and there's nothing that it can't do, and that we are meant for something so much bigger, even more than our imagination. And that we live in such an exciting, momentous time where each one of us is starting to wake up into what's possible, into inviting more love and connection in our lives, into knowing that who we truly are is beyond words and beyond everything that we thought we were. And there's so much love here. There's so much joy here. And so I say yes to that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is. If you enjoyed this episode, I invite you to come check out our Substack at whenwearehealed.com, where you can subscribe to keep in touch and get show notes emailed to you. Sending you lots of love, and I'll see you in the next episode.